wanted to ask if there's any update on the status of the quarterbacks.
Yes, I went ahead and announced that Dwayne Haskins will be our starter day one, okay? And we're going to go forward with that.
Okay. I guess I can stop asking you about it. What made today the right time for that decision?
Well, just so you guys don't ask that question anymore. You know exactly who our starter is, but more importantly, our players know who our starter is. And you know, this was a little bit different training camp than I had anticipated. You know, we got into a situation where we weren't playing any preseason games, and it was going to be hard to really do a true competition in terms of the way I would have liked to see it unfold, where, you know, you start one guy one week, you start another guy the next week. Without having that ability or that opportunity, yeah, I kind of made the decision to go ahead and go with the fact that we wanted to have Dwayne get as many reps with the ones going forward, and that's what we did. So we stuck to that. I'm sorry you guys weren't privy to that information, but that was just something I felt was going to be best for the football team about 3 weeks ago. And again, Dwayne's lived up to everything that he and I talked about back in the middle of January. He really has, and I've been very pleased with his effort, with his attitude, and the way he approached everything.
When you first met him, what you thought of him, you know, in those initial conversations, where did you think that maybe this guy could be really good for this organization?
Well, just the fact that he's an impressive young man. I mean, if you look at his history and who he is, you know, a guy went to Northwestern, you know, walked on. I mean, a free agent in the NFL. I mean, that type of desire, that type of drive to play as long as he did, and then go back and get his MBA. To me, that just speaks of an impressive person. And then when you sit down and talk to him, he's equally as impressive. I mean, to me, it's an amazing thing that, you know, here's a guy that you know, went to Northwestern, played in the league as long as he did, got himself into the league just from sheer effort and desire, and then goes and gets his MBA. I think that's a great story. I think it's a great thing for our franchise because, you know, as far as our players are concerned, here's a guy that can show them, hey, this is doable. You don't have to just be a football player for X amount of years and then you're done. You can prepare yourself for later in life, and that's what Jason's done. And that's why I think he's perfect for us, and he's an excellent example for our players.
I mean, he's kind of walked into a lot at the very beginning. How do you feel like he's handled that? And just, you know, it's only been a week, or a week or whatever. I mean, what have you seen of him in handling kind of those things?
Well, I think he's handled it very well. I really do. You know, one of the things that he's done is he's been supportive of me, you know, in talking to the players about the situation, circumstances a week ago, and talking about the shooting, and he was right there to support me, and then he asked me to be in on his call when he was talking to the rest of the organization, so I was there to support him, and you just see this that he gets it, he understands it, and he knows, you know, that hey, when it comes to football, I'm there for coach, and when it comes to the business side, coach is there for him, and that's what we're trying to get across to all of our employees, all of our players, to the people that support us, that, you know, this is a team effort, and we're going to work together and try and make sure we get things done right.
What went into the decision to acquire David Sharp last night?
Here's a very athletic guy that was available. I mean, he's a guy that's played in this league, has started in this league. You know, things didn't work out for him with the Raiders, and so for us, he's a guy that we've always kind of kept an eye on. We know what his talent is, we know his abilities are. This gives us a guy that comes in and can add some pretty good depth for us. You know, he can play multiple positions, and who knows, maybe he, you know, as he gets comfortable in what we do and he gets to work with Coach Matsko and Coach Wharton, this may be a guy that may push some of the other position guys.
And now that camp is over and you're kind of transitioning to practice, looking ahead to the Eagles, how does that operation change? Do you now emphasize different drills or different things in practice, or do you still kind of flow with what you're doing?
Well, yeah, what we did today was we really kind of morphed into our regular season routine, and wanted to give the guys a feel for it before we start next week for real. So today we're still kind of, you know, doing a lot of the training camp drills. But what we really wanted to do is we just kind of wanted to show them how we mapped it out, everything from the meeting time to the installation period to practice, you know. And then what'll happen is now they're going to have lunch. Well, first is, you know, they started with breakfast. We had snacks available for them going out, so that they could take with them as they go out for the installation period and then practice. And now we'll have a nice healthy lunch for these guys. They'll finish up with their review meetings from practice today. and then they'll be done. They'll be done around 5:30. So just so they get a feel and a sense for what it's going to be like. We didn't want to just start the week cold and not have them have an idea. We wanted them to have a feel for what we were going to do.
You know, we've talked so much, obviously, about Dwayne's evolution just since you guys have gotten here on the field and in the areas that it's so hard for fans and media to kind of tell, but as coaches, you can tell. Where do you think he's made the biggest improvement, the biggest jump, say, over the last month? Is there one area?
I think handling himself. You know, there's a certain aspect of being, you know, the face of the franchise in terms of being the starting quarterback that you have to deal with. You know, kind of like being a head coach. There's some things that you just don't deal with normally, but because of who you are, you have to deal with those things. And that's the same thing for Dwayne. There's a certain way he has to carry himself, a certain way he has to deal with, you know, on the field issues, certain way he deals with off the field issues. And I thought he's done a great job. I think part of it too is developing who he is, and not just physically, but mentally. And I thought he's done a nice job handling that situation as well. I've watched him improve his decision-making. You know, he's got the skill set. He's got a quick arm. He's got good quicks as a quarterback in terms of decision-making and getting himself into that position to throw the ball and deliver a good ball. And so that's the things that you look for in terms of development of young guys. You know, kind of some of the stuff I learned when I was in Carolina, watching Rob Chazinski and Mike Shula work with Cam Newton. I've kind of tried to take those lessons I've learned from both those guys and watch how we do things with Dwayne. And I saw that with Scott and Kenny. I thought those guys doing a nice job bringing him along, bringing Kyle along. You know, again, that's what you want to see. Is you want to see the development of your young guys.
As we get closer to the season, I wonder if you've been thinking about the balance between wanting to see development from those young guys and kind of, you know, letting them play through mistakes and kind of learn on the fly versus, hey, I need a certain baseline here and you know, we really need that level of performance to build this right. I wonder how you would balance those two things.
Well, I think that's all part of it, though, is you can't stop them from making mistakes, because if you do, they'll never have any growth. They'll never learn from anything. So, you know, the thing that you don't want, though, is for them to repeat the mistakes. And that's where you see, to me, the real growth, when you start hearing people say, wow, you know, he doesn't make the same mistake twice. Wow, he's learned from his mistakes. Those are the important things that we look for as coaches. And we'll talk about it constantly, that, you know, we ran this play X amount of times, and, you know, each time we ran it, this is what happened. Well, again, you know, you know, you can't do that. You can't sit there and have it almost predictable that this is going to happen. You've got to be able to say, man, he learned that you know, that when that safety does that, he's got to go work this side of the route. Or, you know, when the safety did this, the first time he did that, but the second time, man, he understood he had to go over here. So those are the things that start indicating growth and development.
The roster, because of the offseason, do you feel like you're having those conversations more this offseason, or is that more at the top of your mind as we get toward week one?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there is some of that as we discuss the players. I mean, you know, we as coaches, I mean, we got a lot of difficult decisions, and we got to look at how, you know, one, you know, does the player fit what we're going to do? Is he going to be a guy that can go out and play within our scheme and help us win? Is he a guy that we want to develop for the future? You know, and if so, you know, what do we have to do to make sure he's being developed? So we've got a lot of things to talk about and discuss the next few days as coaches and as scouts and personnel people.
There was a specific thing with Dwayne that you saw over the last couple of weeks where it was almost kind of like that final hurdle you wanted to see to say that, yes, now you're comfortable with him as a starter? Is that
he began to speed up. You know, things happen fast, and when you try to get guys to practice fast, play fast, so that everybody's getting a fast look. Well, you started to see him early on catch up to everything. You know, while things were happening fast, you know, he was just a tick behind. Then all of a sudden he was even with everything. Now he was ahead of everything. Those are the things that you're looking for when you watch your guy, is that, is he speeding up? Is he picking up, you know, the nuances of what the defense is showing, and then is he reacting to them in a timely fashion or ahead of it, and to where he's almost anticipating it?
With a guy like Thomas Davis, he was mic'd up, I think, a week or two ago during practice, and it looked like he went over to you to talk to him at one point and to basically relay a message to players that maybe you wanted him to relay to them. How important is it to have a guy like him around who knows you and understands your message and can communicate that to other guys?
Well, it's very important. But you also have a guy that has had success. So then that the guys can say, wow, it's pretty amazing. One of the guys that we had when we were in Carolina, that was a veteran guy that had a specific role was we had Roman Harper the year we went to the Super Bowl in 2015. And dude was phenomenal. I mean, the way he did things, and he knew his role. I mean, in one game he played 30 plays, and another game he played 5 plays, but he knew his role and he was there. And that's what Thomas understands, that this is a guy that this really about is messaging and helping me to get things across, and he's the perfect guy for it. I mean, I believe me, he wouldn't be here if I didn't think he was the perfect guy for it. And he is going to help us along the way, and he's going to play some football for us. But I think, what he's going to bring to the table, is a little bit more than just, being out on the field. It's the impact he makes in the locker room, the impact he makes in the huddle. It's the impact he makes, away from the field. I mean, those guys are invaluable because they can sit there and they can tell guys. I mean, I promise you at some point in time, Kyle Allen has told Dwayne, hey, you know what, coach is going to be there behind you. I watched him, do that when Cam was the guy. I watched him do that when I was the guy, so I know he's probably helped Dwayne that way. Jared Norris, another guy who's a special teams guy, has probably told a couple of those young guys, man, hey, you go out and you bust your hump. Coach is going to recognize, he's going to see that. There's value to that. So, you got to have a few of those guys. And I think, having those types of guys that, that do give you that kind of effort, that's pretty exciting.
Coach, you said Dwayne has lived up to everything you guys talked about in January. When you told the team he would be the starter for week 1, did you have any conversation with him alone on just kind of, what you were looking for throughout the season and just in terms of his development?
Well, for the most part, a lot of that stuff, is reflected in our initial conversation. And then every time I follow things up with him, put my arm around him, talked about some of the things that just happened, talked about things that are going to happen. And those are things that he and I have and will continue to have. I just think, again, I made a commitment, 10 years ago to another young quarterback and just told him, hey, you know what? I'm choosing you because, I believe in you. And that's really how I feel about Dwayne. He's lived up to his part of our conversation in January. So because of that, I'm living up to mine. He deserved the opportunity, and he's going to get the opportunity. He's going to get my support, and hopefully we can write it as long as I wrote it with Cam. I mean, it's just, you want to be able to have that guy and have that guy in place. You want to be able to have the other guys in place as well.
Playing style aside, do you see similarities in his growth and development and his maturation so far, between Dwayne and Cam, just in your early going with him?
Oh yeah. It's first of all, it's the desire to win. That to me is one of the overriding things that they both share in similarities. The work ethic, they both have worked hard at in their off seasons, getting themselves ready, getting, and then the way they prepare. I mean, that to me is a delight that you have a guy that's willing to commit to the preparation of it. And it's not just about showing up. Probably the biggest difference is Cam is big. I mean, he's thick. Dwayne is still, to me, is still young and gangly and still filling in. But Dwayne and him have the same type of ball. They throw a good football, and it's a catchable ball.
Said Dwayne is the starter. I'm just curious if you've named the backup quarterback yet, the primary backup.
No, the only thing I did today was talk to the guys about who our starter is.
When do you anticipate making a decision on who will be the number 2?
Let's see, the 13th.
I knew I shouldn't have set it up like that.
It was a perfect setup. I appreciate it.